words were joy and love. And when you were talking about that it's human to need somebody to or it's human to need someone. One of our other most fundamental needs is the need to love someone. And it is also very human for us to need for that love in some way to be returned.
Mm-hmm.
The way that we get bigger than only that exchange is to experience the wider experience of just love. And as you said, to be love. And what I think is also important in our human experience is to be able to, in being love, to still allow the mourning, M-O-U-R, of love unreturned.
Mm.
Of one's expectations not being met. But not to stay in that, right? Just to be with it and acknowledge the beauty of sadness. And there's beauty in sadness because it is the opposite to happiness. And there's beauty in happiness because it's the opposite to sadness. And it's all part of love. And so it's all part of what we are as humans. And there's no doubt that the ego is part of that. And for most of us, most of our lifetimes, we're working with the ego. We might have a different goal ultimately, but the way to get there, I think, is through awareness and collaboration and peace and power and community and passion and purpose. And to find our prosperity. So that's everything that you brought with that conversation for me. Thank you, Sandrell.
Love again. One thing is loving ourselves, but the other is sharing it with a collective. always searching for where we came.
Mm. Thank you all for gleaning in with me. I picked up with all of your comments and sharing of your heart and your perspective that, I can remember being a little girl or somewhere the memory was planted in me with reading fairy tales and stories and reading, watching shows of love, that it just always seemed so magical that it would that was just life. That's how life was. And to not have that, there was a void to strive for, to put yourself in position to look like you're living the life of love. What does that look like? The house, the picket fence, the dog, the 3 kids, being swooped up in your lover's arms. And then I think you said the words, Allison, of the expectation of love not being met. Where those expectations have come from. I mean, I guess you got to start somewhere with contriving what does love look like, feel like, be like, act like. But it's not an external thing, but the ego holds the external thing. And then it's like you're trying to meet something outside of yourself, of having this self-sufficiency, even when you have the house, the spouse, the dog, the picket fence. There's this ego playing this dance, like, you got the elements of it, but it's still like everybody's living in their own self-sufficiency. And if something is plucked out with the way marriages and relationships are so transient, to even see other people's homes broke up, it's just like, wait, you're destructing my mirage. You're destructing my image that I'm striving for, that I almost got all my pieces together. Actually, I got all of the pieces. Now I'm just trying to figure out the ego holding it all together. But nothing can hold all of that stuff together because it's something that's put together instead of something that grows together, like in the forest, how the vines grow on the limbs and twist and turn and extend and go in the ground and come out somewhere else and still being connected because it's got connection. So I find that that ego is it's being exposed and not even upholding for the heart. It's not upholding with the heart. When you let the heart just be the heart, when you let yourself be in innocence.
I think when you allow that, you drop your expectations.
Yeah. They're like, wait a minute, this shit ain't worked.
Mhm.
What will work is what works, and no expectations.
Mhm.
But you said mourning the expectations, and it's like this doesn't work. Those expectations doesn't work. I think I've
There's a
been,
sorry, go ahead, Sandra. Sorry.
please, just gonna say that I've been mourning expectations for about 8 years now, and I've had the release that I'm out of mourning. Go ahead, Allison.
Mm. That's a big thing. That's a beautiful thing. Because that's, for me, that's very fundamental to your entire being. That's a big thing to celebrate.
This is a very, very good conversation. In fact, it's triggered me many times. I guess it's something that I needed to hear. The comment that I would make is sometimes we have unrealized expectations that others love us the same way we love them.
Mm.
And it becomes a betrayal to us when we realize they don't.
I'm sure
But
it's a betrayal.
Sometimes one has to realize. Sorry,
sorry,
Sandra,
Beth.
can you say yours again?
I was just feeling about the betrayal. It's a betrayal to us,
Mm.
but I'm sure it's even a betrayal to them that they can't love the way they thought to love, or the way they presented themselves to you to love, and they can't hold that up.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Because even as a child, I think back and how I loved my mom and I loved my dad, and yet how could that man hurt me so much? I thought he loved me, right? The same way I loved him.
Mm.
It's a good conversation, one I obviously needed to hear. It puts things into a different perspective. I'm not sitting in a one-dimensional view of it.
Well, maybe it's not one-dimensional, but it's one view.
Yes, I guess it is. It's one view.
I was triggered by that contrast and that contrast of a child that's so early, so close to, so young, so innocent. Yeah, so innocent. Compared to a child such like your father, who was a child at one time in that innocence, learning what love was, or yearning for it, right? And then whatever patterns from the family come in, fast forward to that's where he is now, and we're the child is.
Mm.
And we know, like, the history of our families. And it's almost as if as we grow older, we try to get back there, but just don't know how.
Mm.
And so it's like, man, it's, mm, it's love, and it's not true love. It's not innocent love because of the
Mm.
barriers that we've put in our life, the patterns. It just had me, the conversation just had me think of the craving of a baby, because those are our earliest patterns. Those are the imprints, the stamps. The pieces.
Now, there's a lot in this conversation that gets brought up. I mean, that because I think it is so much about what the purpose of life is about.
Mhm.
I was going to say earlier, there's a very subtle discernment that one needs to make at times in terms of what works for one in a love relationship, in an intimate relationship. And I think one of the reasons why we struggle so much to discern between whether the way that that person loves is good enough for us or not is because we don't trust our own way of loving. And so we don't walk away. We stay. Not everybody, but for a lot of people, that's what happens. And we don't trust, what we want, exactly because of what Jesse was talking about, because of all those barriers and the patterns of those barriers that we've taken on from our families. And learning to unpack all of that is a life's journey.
And then to find yourself in a space where the essence of someone wanting to love you with all of your undefined definitions, and you don't have to contrive expressing yourself, being yourself, doing the things of life that you feel called to do, to make it okay for them to love you. Because none of those things matter. They just want to be there. Being able to need to love and to give that love unconditionally, and it doesn't strangle you or define you or suffocate you, and you is being able to love really truly without putting on expectations that the ego just damages with expectations. And so love ends up expressing itself like meeting no expectations that you ever had about love, and yet without any definition. It's like, wait a minute, I think this, yeah, what? Could this really be love? Like nothing I ever thought or tried to arrive at before. To love without definition. To allow yourself to be loved without definition.
Mm. That's a good one.
I think it's like reminded of the beginner's mind. So to love like it's new. And I don't want to say like no matter what, but in a way, like to a point, to a line of no matter what. Now, because that no matter what, those expectations and really what can really like can get in the way of that no matter what. Those expectations pop in, pop up, show up, confront, and holding on to the past of, oh, that was as good as it was. So in the present moment, looking back to the past to look at, compare to, relate to other, like it was like that was the most intense moment, right? That one there. And comparing that every point forward. Neither one of those work, but those are ways that we work that. We see it, we expect it, we want it, we look, better yet, it's how we look for it. How else could we call it? There it is. Well, the other way we could is, as you spoke, Sindrell, with that beginner, that open mindset, that curious openness, wonder, acceptance. Ah, there it is again. Because I'm looking for it. I'm open to it. I'm curious about it. And I can accept it. Even when they piss you off.
And yeah, even when, even when I'm not accepting it, it doesn't like run. It's still part of the experience. a
Mm.
feeling.
Right. When we can see them as one, as connected, as part of the whole, and not where we tend to just separate them. Oh, there it is, and oh, there it isn't.
And even where it isn't, it is.
Yeah, it's like, wow. But you can see a child can't wrap its head around that.
Mm.
But as adults, we can't. Doesn't mean we will.
If you let go and just let it arise, let go of the ego, the prefabricated impressions, the definitions that we've held onto so dearly, the things that we chased after to define what is. And then let come up what comes up.
Thank you, Jesse. This has been a wonderful morning of silence and conversation. And I need to start making tracks. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Thank you for
Bye
being
bye,
here.
Nick.
You
Bye.
too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll just
Don't hear you, Alyssa.
say this before we. Sorry, I lost my Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Yeah, I lost my Wi-Fi for a second too. I'm back.
So then that takes me back to building. And what we build depends so much on how we listen and how we choose. Do we choose to expand innocence? Or do we choose to build more evidence of what is right, or what we consider to be right? And in many ways, for me, innocence and peace are interchangeable.
Is it locked?
Not only is it locked, but I think Reggie positioned it so it won't come off until I can get it replaced.
I think I can get it. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I was on mute.
That's okay.
Thank you all for a great morning.
Yes. Thank you too, Jesse.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah, y'all have a
Heinz.
blessed day.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a good day,
Yeah.
everybody. Bye,
Good
Central.
Friday.
See
Thank
you,
you, Cinderella.
Allison. Bye, Jesse.
Bye.
Have a great day, Heinz.
Yeah, all of you have a